Let's talk about that Cleveland Browns touchdown touchback, shall we? Get your idea on it. I understand why people are angry, but it's just one of those things where I've always like, yeah, the rules is the rules. Like the rules just have always been that way. Now, I have never been anywhere near scoring a touchdown, okay, and had it completely ruined and yanked out of my hands and my team's hands, half an inch away, and completely changing the entire game there. I mean, just completely changing a red zone turnover like the 101-yard touchdown return that happened. It just, those are big time plays. And I think people are fed up with this particular situation happening, but I believe the NFL is going to steadfast with, hey, this is just the way the rules are. Don't do it. AJ, how do you feel about this entire thing?
I mean, the rule does seem to, I guess, penalize offensive guys for going for the touchdown, which I don't know. Does that help even out some of the rules that, the defense isn't allowed to touch the offense really much anymore? But I do think this rule is dumb. I do think it should change, but I don't know what it should change to. Like, what should the penalty be?
Well, everybody just says there's no penalty. You just get it back to the spot, obviously, of where you fumbled. Or there's been people that are like, well, you should have to recover it or whatever. Well, that's just a fumble then. That's just a natural fumble. It's not the same situation that happens over and over and over again. I don't know. For me, for instance, I could see how a sports book could potentially refund people that this happened to them, because it is just like nobody really likes it, right? Like for me, I'm not even like a big proponent of we need to change the rule. Like I'm not coming out and saying that. Yeah. I just, every time it happens, it's like, oh, that's one of those rules that is just like not the most fun one. But there's other things that happen in football, that I just think are much more prevalent than that rule. But whenever it happens, boy, everybody hates it. You know what I mean? And it happens like almost quarterly of the season, it feels like at this point.
I believe I saw it. It happened 3 times last year, 3 times the year before, but 8 times this year I thought I saw it. Could be wrong.
Man, guys are getting faster. You're going to see a lot of that. And also high contact right down there near the end zone. It's not easy to get in, dude. You think the Browns got screwed, AJ? Fucking, if that rule didn't exist, which everybody hates, the Browns probably win that game.
Yeah, they'd had a better chance to win. But how about Sorensen? Like, nobody's talking about the play Sorensen made. That was a hell of a play. And they're saying, oh, it was helmet to helmet. You should have got a helmet to helmet penalty. First off, I don't think there should be like targeting or helmet to helmet calls when you're on the goal line. Like, I think those are impossible to avoid.
CT doesn't exist down here. Okay,
it doesn't. And that was an unbelievable play by Sorensen that nobody's talking about because they're just talking about the rule.
And by the way, the helmet to helmet, it wasn't like the most clear helmet to helmet. It was a hell of a fucking play. It was a big time shot. They're both crouching down, obviously. That's how it goes. So it's going to be hard to get your head into a position where it's not, especially whenever you're down that low. But what a fucking play, And normally I would assume there would be a lot more than 8 this year if the ball, because normally the ball crosses the plane and then it happens. And it's like, well, it crossed the plane. That one's so close, so heartbreaking, I bet, for the Browns fans. But a hell of a play on the defense side. How about Tyrann Mathieu? He could have had 2 last night, had 1 pick. That defense last year in the playoffs started making plays for him. Did that happen last night? Did that start again? Is this the same Chiefs squad that we saw last year in the playoffs that knew when they had to make a play? Chad fucking Henne made it, and their defense could be opportunistic out there. When it comes to the Chiefs, everybody's talking, if you're in Cleveland, about getting screwed. You know what I mean? With the touchback or touchdown into a touchback. I assume that this conversation has happened in league circles, whether it's the rules committee or anything like that. Has there ever been a time where they almost changed that rule? Do you think that'll ever happen, or do you think that's just the way it is? Don't reach out the football when you're that close if you don't want this to happen.
I think it's the way it is. It has been discussed at length. Rich Eisen, my esteemed colleague, hates this rule maybe more than he hates anything else. Well, he hates Ohio State a lot too, but he definitely hates this rule. And it has been discussed. I don't believe the league has a better answer. Maybe it'll be discussed again, and I'm going to be asking. But I think their main point is, what's the alternative, right? I mean, to me, it seems just personally, opinion-wise, it seems way too punitive. You fumble on the, going into the end zone, the other team gets it just without recovering. It seems wild to me. On the other hand, don't fumble would be the response to that. I don't know. I personally don't get it, and I hope they do take a look at it. But you got to know the rules, and you got to know that you cannot be reaching out for the goal line. I mean, every person who's been schooled by Bill Belichick knows that. I covered them for 3 years. I know that very well. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those tweets last night from players that played within the Patriots organization. It's interesting because they tell you to strain for every yard, but whenever the yard is the most important, don't strain. Put that son of a bitch right back inside and just let's live to see another day here.